He was one of the most feared men in the Philadelphia crime family. Cousin of the Godfather of the city of Philadelphia. He was a hitter, mobster, and a future rising star in his own right. This is the story of Johnny Keys Simone. The beginning. Johnny Keys was born on February 25, 1911 in South Philadelphia. He is infamously known for being the cousin of the Godfather of Philadelphia, Angelo Bruno, and being a mobster in his own right. Despite being a year younger than Angelo Bruno, several reports indicate that it was Johnny Keys Simone to introduce Angelo Bruno to the criminal underworld. Bruno owned his own grocery store in the Passyunck Square in South Philadelphia. Meanwhile, Simone would start his career as a bootlegger during the Great Depression in his youthful years. He would be arrested for several times for assault and robbery after the Great Depression years. There have been allegations that Johnny Keys would work for a vending company, and upon his introduction into the Philadelphia crime family, he would start as a hitter. According to former Gambino underboss Salvatore Sammy the Bull Gravano, Johnny Keys Simone taken over 50 murders in his lifetime and labeled him a hitman's hitman. During the 1950s, Simone and Bruno will be rising stars in the Philadelphia criminal underworld. Bruno met the reigning godfather Salvatore Sabella and will work in the criminal rackets under Sabella's protection. Simone ran a profitable bookmaking operation. In the year of 1950, Angelo Bruno sent Johnny Keys Simone to Trenton, New Jersey to work with Charles Pinky Costello, who was a Philly wise guy and was considered the boss of the Trenton number and gambling. Also, Costello is Angelo Bruno's cousin. He was specifically his first cousin. Simone would make Philadelphia's crime family robust through the number operation in Trenton. In 1959, Angelo Bruno will become Godfather of Philadelphia, and he promoted Johnny Keys Simone to be leader and have taken full control over Trenton's numbers racket. The 1950s was the decade for Simone and Bruno to make their names in the criminal underworld. The following decades were a testament to how long they were going to maintain them. In the 1960s, Johnny Keys Simone became the captain in Trenton-based operations. He would make the criminal syndicate very wealthy and grew a large fortune running in Trenton's numbers of operations. His numbers record was very robust that he was reported to be a multi-millionaire as one of the most affluent figures in the Philadelphia crime family. During this year in New Jersey, he would build a working relationship with another New Jersey-based Philly mobster. He was Antonio Tony Bananas Capernegro. Tony Bananas also controlled the family's gambling and bookmaking and loan sharking rackets in Newark, New Jersey. Capernegro will be the future consigliere of Angelo Bruno after Justo Rognetta died in 1977. Angelo Bruno himself would appoint Tony Bananas to be the consular of the crime family. This decision will be a fatal mistake. During this time, Angelo Bruno and Johnny Keys Simone's relationship dwindled, and the seeds of treachery were planted within the family. The plan. Antonio Tony Bananas Capernegro, Johnny Keys Simone, and many others in the Philadelphia crime family were becoming frustrated with the power of Angelo Bruno. When gambling became legalized, Bruno did not take advantage of the commercialism exclusively when he was still loyal to the Gambino crime family, despite the passing reasons. One of them was casino, gambling, we mentioned. Also, Angelo Bruno would not allow his own crime family members to get involved in the robust narcotics market. However, members of the Gambino crime family were into the drug trade and exchanged Bruno money that many people felt was drug money, and he would be a hypocrite towards his own community. Therefore, Johnny Keys Simone will collaborate with Capernegro to overthrow Angelo Bruno. In 1980, the 1970s were over, and the decade were unleashed a whole new rampage of violence and create a civil war within the crime family of Philadelphia, started with Angelo Bruno. Capernegro had been lining up to support in Philadelphia for a palace coup. He enlisted Frank Sindone, the Barracuda, Johnny Keys Simone, and Alfred Salerno, Capernino's brother-in-law, as willing participants in the conspiracy. Sidone, a longtime Bruno family soldier and one of the biggest loan sharks in Philadelphia, was to be the underboss of Capernino's rebel regime. Behind Bruno's back and wishes, Capernino decided to take business, and within another crime family was the Genovese. He approached the Genovese family boss Frank Thierry in order to seek the commission's permission to whack Angelo Bruno to take over the crime family. Thierry, sensing an opportunity to take over Capernino's New Jersey gambling operation, set up an operation in Atlantic City. He lied to Capernino and told him that he had the commission's support. Coup de grace. March 21st, 1980, Johnny Keys Simone and Frank the Barracuda Sidone met with John Stanfa, also known as Giovanni John Stanfa, in New York City. During this time, John Stanfa was a young Sicilian wise guy who Simone and Sidone recruited to replace regular driver Raymond Long John Mortorano and Mario Sonny Riccobini. The plan of a coup d'etat was set in motion. Angelo Bruno would have his last meal at Cuz's Little Italy with some of his friends. Many underworld observers believe Frank Sidone marked Angelo Bruno by giving him the symbolic kiss of death after he kissed Bruno's cheek before Bruno left the restaurant. Angelo Bruno and John Stanfa left the restaurant and prepared for Bruno's last ride. It was a dark, rainy night as John Stanfa was driving Angelo Bruno to his home at 934 Snyder Avenue in South Philadelphia. Before he was driven home, he and John Stanfa stopped at Broad and Snyder to get a newspaper, and Bruno would never expect anything unusual. The temperature was dropping and rain grew denser around 9:30 p.m. John Stanfa parks the car in the cold in front of Angelo Bruno's house as it grew colder. Two men behind the car would step out of the shadows. Angelo Bruno's window was lowered as he flicked his cigarette, and it would be the last thing he would ever do. A shooter loaded double-barrel shotgun and blasted Bruno in the back of his head by pulling both triggers simultaneously. The shooting would instantly take the life of the Godfather of Philadelphia. John Stanfa would be wounded from the pellets from the gunshot blast. The shooter and his accomplice fled the crime scene. John Stanfa will also do the same, leaving Angelo Bruno's corpse alone in the car. His mouth would gape wide open extremely as if he was screaming for help. The gruesome image of him became an iconic mob hit, especially since he was the Godfather of Philadelphia. The rain would stop and the neighborhood would wake from the gunshot blast noise, creating a pandemonium in South Philadelphia. Therefore, this night became a media circus, as you can see here.
Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to our channel and check out more of our content. Feel free to give your feedback and suggestions on what we should do next in the comments. This is Infinite Lee Productions. We love ya.